Because it's the snake, it's the beast coiled up in the heart, the bosom of the country, as Frederick Douglass said. And the fact that they are doubling down on this shows you what kind of human beings they actually are.
Man, has the last 80 days been a wild ride or what? I swear my head's about to explode from all the craziness. You guys feel the same way, right? I mean, just look at these headlines. Pure chaos. The Republicans are basically agents of chaos, led by their orange Caligula. They'll do anything for him, no matter how much it screws over the people they're supposed to represent. Hey, and you're watching the American Spotlight. And get this, millions of us are about to lose our Medicaid if the Republicans get their way with those $4.5 trillion tax cuts for billionaires. And the Trump regime? They've more than doubled the price of stuff from China with this crazy trade war they're pulling. So, that iPhone I was saving up for? Yeah, forget about it. Medical research has basically ground to a halt under the Republicans, but the MAGA cult is cheering them on. Though, some of them did seem a little bothered when their retirement accounts got wiped out every time Trump tanked the market. We've got people writing in, like Nami, saying, "I voted for you, but at 60 years old and my first year after retirement, your policy is killing me. Everything I've worked for just keeps dwindling away. So disappointing that you're banking everything for the future and screwing me and my family." And Maureen's saying, "The market is absolutely tanking. How could you do this to the people who voted for you? I'm actually terrified to wake up tomorrow and see if I have any retirement left." Then there's someone else saying, "I've worked all my life just to put a few bucks away for retirement, less than you probably spend in a day. Voted for you. Now you want to take the pittance I worked my entire life to save." And Craig Smith says, "I voted for you 3 times, but I'm completely appalled at what your self-inflicted tariffs are doing to senior retirement accounts. We can't afford this recession, spelled wrong, that you're throwing the USA into. And you know what? I bet most of them would still vote for Republicans and Trump again." As Anthony Scaramucci pointed out the other day, 44 people who worked in senior roles in the first Trump administration are warning about the dangers of a second Trump term, including the former vice president. But why are we even surprised? Why did 77 million Americans ignore all the red flags and warnings about the first Trump regime? Eddie Glaude, a Princeton professor, made a really good point on MSNBC the other day.
I don't know what it's going to take for 78 million Americans to deal with what motivated them to make this choice. And the choice that they've made, we have to just be honest, is to literally throw the Republican to the trash bin. And this is just one example. The tariffs is another, right? They made the choice. Now, what was behind it? We have to grapple with it, because it's the snake, it's the beast coiled up in the heart, the bosom of the country, as Frederick Douglass said. And the fact that they are doubling down on this shows you what kind of human beings they actually are.
Say more.
We chose a felon who is more interested in loyalty, who's more interested in retribution, who's more interested in grift than in democracy. And we chose a felon because we didn't want to elect a black woman. So to read that, to actually explicate that, is to say we would rather destroy the republic than for that to have happened. And until we grapple with it, there's no amount of protesting I could do. There's no amount of resistance that could come into play to actually force 78 million people to grapple with what motivated them to put themselves in this position.
All right, so you're saying this whole thing isn't about the economy, it's about racism and misogyny. You're pointing out that women, especially black women, are being targeted. And you're highlighting examples like the alleged erasure of the word woman in certain contexts and Pete Hegseth's actions regarding women in the military. You specifically mentioned that under President Biden, there were 4 women holding 4-star ranks in the military. As of yesterday, you claim there are now 0 due to Pete Hegseth firing Vice Admiral Shoshana Chatsworth.
High-ranking female military officers to be fired by this administration. CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata joins me now. Charlie, who is she? Why does this matter? What's the broader context?
Oh, Major, the official line from Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell this morning is that she was dismissed due to a loss of confidence in her ability to lead, which is sort of Pentagon speak for just because. So there was no further comment. She was the top U.S. official on, not just female official, U.S. official on NATO's military committee. She had been singled out. She's put on a sort of woke list that has been put together by a conservative group because of comments she's made in the past. Promoting diversity, which of course Defense Secretary Hegseth has said repeatedly that diversity, or at least the sort of pursuit of diversity, weakens the forces. So she was the only woman on a panel of 32 representatives on that NATO committee, and again, the highest ranking, not just female, highest ranking U.S. official there.
Okay, so you're saying Pete Hegseth, whom you describe as a white nationalist, misogynistic predator, has a history of making derogatory comments about women in the military. You're referring to a clip from a right-wing podcast where he expresses his views. You want to play that clip.
I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated.
Okay, so you're saying that Pete Hegseth, this loser and former Fox Weekend host, couldn't hold a candle to the competence of women like Vice Admiral Chatsworth or Admiral Lisa Franchetti. You're highlighting the irony that he, who allegedly texted war plans on an unsecure Signal chat, is now in a position to fire these highly qualified individuals. You're emphasizing that anyone else would be court-martialed for such a breach of security. And you're pointing out the hypocrisy of this Trump regime, where they seem to disregard rules and proper procedures, even disappearing documents, while Hegseth and his white broskies stay in power.
To take for 78 million Americans to deal with what motivated them to make this choice. And the choice that they've made, we have to just be honest, is to literally throw the Republic into the trash bin.
All right, so you're saying these guys would rather destroy the whole system than vote for a woman. You're pointing to a clip from a decade ago where Hegseth and Fox's Stuart Varney are tearing into Hillary Clinton for using a private email server, which, in today's context, seems like a minor offense. You want to play that clip.
Divulging the secrets of our nation at the very highest level, that person would be in prison. There would be outrage across the board. But here, it's covered up. It's incredible.
No, the double standard is incredible. Imagine if it was, I don't know, Donald Trump, what the media would be doing to him right now, eviscerating him. Or imagine if it was a member of the military, which we've seen from General Cartwright and General Petraeus. They still go after these guys for a tiny, tiny fraction of what she willfully did and betrayed her country in doing so, supposedly for convenience, but actually so she could have a different set of standards and hide her conduct and the conduct of the Clinton Foundation, Benghazi, everything else, so she could stay away from and above the law. And it turns out foreign services want to know what our Secretary of State thinks. And in this instance, they did whatever they could to break an unsecure server in her basement. It tells you everything you need to know.
Wait a second. It's actually worse than that.
All right, so you're saying the double standards are blatant, and you didn't fully grasp the extent of the misogyny in this country until the last election. You felt devastated by Hillary Clinton's loss, but seeing highly qualified women dismissed in favor of a convicted felon and adjudicated rapist twice really drove the point home. You're emphasizing that this isn't just a Republican problem, but that misogyny is ingrained in American systems. However, you argue that for Republicans, it's become a core part of their brand. You're concerned about the consequences of this misogyny, saying that our military, medical communities, public education, and laws are less secure because of it. You're questioning how anyone can claim to love the women in their lives while supporting policies that undermine them. You feel like 77 million Americans hate women so much that they'd rather destroy everything than let a woman, especially a woman of color, succeed. You express frustration at the constant dismissal of qualified and experienced women, and you wonder what more needs to be done. You bring up Eddie Glaude's question, what more has to be done? You fear that only a complete economic collapse or a dictatorship will make people realize the value of women. You end by encouraging viewers to follow you on various social media platforms and to subscribe to your Substack. You urge them to embrace righteous anger and courage and to fight for women, the country, and each other.